We're back with Right Time Radio this morning, and our guest is also my co-host, Lynn Donovan. And Lynn is an author, playwright, and director who spends her days chasing after her muses, trying to get them to behave long enough to write their stories. The results are numerous novels, multi-author series, anthologies, dramatizations, and short stories. And she does Right Time Radio because we want to help local writers, which we need to talk about more one of these days. And it's her way of paying forward all those who have helped her to become a published author.
Yep, true.
And so you want to tell us about Sons of Honor?
Well, Sons of Honor is the result of a previous series, Lantern in the Window. The women's names were Patient, and then they leave me. Patience, Charity, Faith,
Purity,
Hope. No,
something like
there
that.
was a Purity, but there's not a book for Purity. He knows that because it's in the excerpt. Patrick's here with us. He's going to be narrating today. We're so happy to have you here, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. You honor me. But the last book written was Honor. And so all of the books were Lantern of Patience, Lantern of Charity, etc., and then Lantern of Honor. And then Honor had 6 sons. So this series is 15 years later, and it's the story of her 6 sons and how or if they found their happy ever after. So they are from, we've got, sorry.
Technical things
Throw this
going
thing
on
out.
here.
The phones are muted, but the computer was not. Speaking of which, let me mute my phone.
Oh, she's got her phone
see, there
again
we go.
there, see.
So anyway, Adam is the oldest. They have biblical names. It's Adam, Seth, Jacob, and Jonah and Jacob are twins, and we're going to talk about Jacob today. And then we have Reuben, and we have Benjamin last. He's the youngest, and he's just 19 going on 20, and the oldest one's almost 30 years old. So we have that span, and they all have different stories. It's all, even though they're all in this small town, they all have their own individual personalities and background and luggage and, and then their problems and their good things and their bad things and all of that. So, but we're going to talk about Jacob. And the reason we're going to talk about Jacob is because he is my 50th book that I published.
So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And she does have more books, but Jacob is the 50th. And
Correct.
so Patrick will be reading excerpts from Jacob this morning.
He will. And I like that.
When do you want to start that?
I think now's an excellent time.
Cue Patrick.
And away we go.
Take it away, Patrick.
Prologue, Lantern, Texas, 1867. 10-year-old Jacob Featherstone pushed his favorite girl, Charlene Chance, in the tree swing at his great-uncle Harrison's home. It was the second annual Founders' Day dinner and 4th of July celebration for Lantern, his hometown. It was stupid to call it that. July 4th was days away, something like 4 days. It wasn't till Thursday, in fact. That was forever from now. And they weren't having a week-long rodeo contest like last year to fill the gap between Sunday and Thursday. His mama and Charlene's mama had new husbands. So did a whole lot of women whose husbands had died in the war. So Jacob reckoned that there was no need to put on another rodeo. Although last year was a lot of fun, he supposed the $500 prize was too much for Lantern to have a rodeo like that every year. Or ever again. Both he and Charlene had been warned by their mamas not to get dirty. They wore their Sunday best clothes since it was Sunday and they had just left church. Charlene's mom, Charity Brunston, had wagged her fingers at the two of them when they ran off from the grown-ups to play. How stupid to expect kids to stay clean just because they wore their church clothes. Jacob could have run home and changed, but Charlene lived way out of town at Second Chance Ranch. She couldn't go home to change and come back. She'd missed the whole Founders' Day fun and food. It was one of the few times all the cousins and other relations came together in one place for the whole day. Uncle Harrison had nice big trees, perfect for tree swings and climbing. He'd hung 2 of them on either side of the cottonwood. His house had been in Lantern the longest since he was one of the original founders. It was a subject they studied in school. Lantern, Texas, our founding fathers. It wasn't a textbook or anything. Mrs. Jansen just knew all about it and wrote stuff on the board. The students were expected to write papers about their favorite detail. Jacob didn't see what the big deal was. Anybody who lived here all their lives, like him and his brothers, knew all about Uncle Harrison Lantern and his brothers. Aunt Gloria and Uncle Harrison were married out east before they came to Texas to settle a place. Shoot, everyone in the Lantern family was cousins at least. Even Charlene was Jacob's second cousin. Nobody could help but know who the founders were and how they were all related. Uncle Harrison was the pastor, too. He talked about that stuff every Sunday. Charlene, Jacob pushed her as the seat swung back to his reach. How's it going with your new dad? I told you not to call me Charlene. She spoke over her shoulder and stretched her legs out to make herself go higher. Abigail Drucker ran by, chasing Jacob's baby brother Benjamin. She overheard Charlene's reprimand Jacob and hollered, "Charlene! Charlene! Charlene!" Jacob watched them run past, cringing over what he'd said. And then Abigail made it worse by chanting her given name. "Sorry, Charlie. So, how's it going?" "Fine, I suppose. How about you?" "Yeah, just like, we like Mr. O'Mallory. We call him Papa Monty. How do you like Hezekiah?" "I just call him Daddy," she sounded sad. "It's hard, isn't it?" "Yeah, but Mom likes it when I call him Daddy. She don't cry no more, so I reckon he's all right." "Charlie?" Jacob glanced at his twin brother Jonah on the other side of the tree, pushing Theodora Farmington. "When we grow up, you want to get married?" She laughed. "Jacob Featherstone, I can't marry you. You're a whole year younger than me. Besides, how do you know when you grow up you'll still like me?" "Oh, I know," Jacob assured her. "I know exactly what I want when I grow up." She swung away from him, stretching out long as her boots rose high in the air. Her hair hung down, nearly touching the grass. Then she sat up as her swing came back toward him. "Oh, do you? And what is that?" "I'm going to be a doctor, like my real dad and mama. I'm going to marry you, and we'll have 4 children, a boy and a girl, and twins like me and Jonah." "Really?" She put her feet down, abruptly stopping the swing. It fell from her skirt, so she stood and turned at the waist to look at him. "You're that certain how everything will be?" Jacob crossed his hands in front of his hips. He felt exposed, vulnerable under her scrutiny. "Yes." "Well, we better seal it with a kiss." She stepped away from the swing and walked toward him. "My mom says if I kiss a boy, I'll be committed to him for life, so we better seal this so it has to come true." He waited for her to get close enough, and then he closed his eyes. She kissed him, right on the lips. His heart pounded so hard in his chest he thought he might pass out. He opened his eyes to find her just inches from his face, grinning like a possum eating cactus. He smiled. "So it's sealed." "I reckon so. It's sealed now and forever, Jacob Featherstone. Someday I will marry you." Abigail Drucker ran up to them and halted just behind Jacob. I'm telling." She ran off. Charlie and Jacob watched her run away. Then they turned to each other and laughed. Chapter 1. Founders Day, Lantern, Texas, 1881. Jacob pushed his gal, Charlie Chance, in the swing at Uncle Harrison's homestead, just like he did when they were kids. There were 3 swings hanging now from the huge cottonwood tree, where there had been only 2. The Lantern family grew bigger, and newcomers caused the town to grow even larger. Founders Day dinner had become a huge affair. Jacob almost felt guilty for taking up the swing when there were so many young kids running around, but he had his reasons. "Remember when you kissed me right here at this swing, and we promised someday we'd get married?" She straightened her limbs, making the swing go higher than what he had pushed. It wasn't until the swing came back and he pushed her again that she answered him. "Yeah, but we were, 10 or 11 then? You said you wanted to be a doctor, and then we'd get married and have 4 children." She paused. "A boy and a girl and twins like you and Jonah," she laughed. "But Jacob, I didn't realize then that you becoming a doctor meant you'd want me to leave Lantern." "It's just for 4 or 5 years, Charlene." "Do not call me Charlene." "I'm sorry. Your mother calls you Charlene. I would think now that you are 25, you'd drop your childhood nickname." "It's not just a nickname. Charlie is who I am." Charlene is who everyone else wants me to be." He pushed her again and considered what she meant. Finally, he spoke again. "I guess when we were little, I thought I could just study with Mama and be a doctor. That's a lot like how she became the town doctor. But nowadays, a person can't just read everything he can get his hands on and start practicing medicine, like I've done. You actually got to go to a university and earn a degree. Only that's real expensive. Times have changed, for the better, I suppose." She put her feet down and stepped out of the swing. "I don't want to stop you from achieving your last dream, Jacob. Go to university. Get a degree in medicine. Be a doctor. But," he held the rope attached to the seat swing, "I want you with me as my wife. I can't leave Mother. She's not well. Daddy, is great with her, but she needs me." Jacob hung his head. "But I love you." And we sealed it with a kiss. We were children. She walked away from him. He stared at her with the rope still in his hand.
All right, we're going to take a break, throw in a few commercials, and we're going to come back and we're going to let Patrick read some more of this. You want to hear some more?
I definitely want to hear some more.
You're giggling and I think you're enjoying it.
In the right places.
Yeah. And I say that to Sue because Sue doesn't like romances, and she keeps telling me she's not going to read my books because she doesn't like romances, and yet when she hears part of them, she's like, "Gosh, that's kind of a good story."
Yeah, but then they just make me sad instead of,
Oh.
they just make
Well,
me
this one's
sad.
not making you sad yet, is it?
No, not yet.
She's giggling.
She
That's a
is
good
giggling.
sign.
Laughing at the good parts. That's
Yeah.
I enjoy a good book. I just don't know anything about romance.
I have an offer to make you. If you read some of my books, maybe you'll have some idea
Ouch.
about romance.
Ow, that was harsh. On that note,
Sorry,
Now
I
we need to go-
apologize.
this would be a good time to go to a
I
commercial.
apologize publicly.
Wow. All right, only on live radio.
Yes.
Here we go.
Well, guess what? After a short hiatus, Mr. Ed's Family Restaurant is back open, and Steve says there ain't no virus gonna shut him down. Mr. Ed's will be open from Friday through Monday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Dine-in or takeout. Now you can call Mr. Ed's at 275-5833, place your order, and choose from any one of the incredible menu choices. That number again is 275-5833 for Mr. Ed's Family Restaurant.
Tell me if this sounds about right. When your furniture wears out or breaks, you replace your furniture. So you don't go furniture shopping until you need to.
But that's not how most people shop at Classic Furniture. Most people come in to see what we have all the time. Our inventory changes daily. And then when they find that perfect piece, that piece they didn't even know they were looking for, they move things around in their home and make room for that new furniture.
I guess that's one way to shop for furniture.
However you shop for furniture, shop Classic Furniture, 510 Main.
Canyon City.
It was the 1970s, and 9 out of 10 people listen to the radio at least once every week. Today, you know what that statistic is? According to Nielsen, 9 out of 10 people listen to the radio every week. Surprise! Radio is full of surprises. Here's another one. Millennials make up the largest group of radio listeners in Colorado. Surprise! Reach 9 out of 10 people with your message on radio. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Brought to you by the Colorado Broadcasters Association and this station.
And we're back with Right Time Radio and my guest and co-host, our
Hi
guest
there.
today, Lynn Donovan.
Hey.
And we are reading Jacob,
We
one
are.
of the Sons of Honor series,
Yes.
and her 50th book.
Yeah, the
The
50th
big
book that I
50.
published. Yeah, that's a big milestone.
Yeah.
That is a huge milestone. I mean, seriously.
When you realize you've written that many books.
I mean,
that is a
Lynn's
pretty big
only,
thing.
what, 29?
Exactly.
Yeah,
there you go.
So,
she's been writing. She started with crayon.
Yeah.
I did.
That would not surprise me. It wouldn't.
Anyway, well, Patrick is here with us today. We love having him read. He's doing such an excellent
Such
job.
a good voice.
So I guess we ought to let him get back to it. You think the listeners are interested to know what happened?
I am. I was so engrossed in the book, I forgot to go to commercial till somebody poked me. So, yeah.
Well, you know.
We're not subtle here.
No. We have to signal where, it's supposed to be smooth and whatever. I don't know.
At
No.
least I didn't go.
Yeah, you did not.
If it
You
goes
did not.
smooth, something is wrong.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
it has to go off
That's
the rails
like
somewhere.
saying, gosh, it's been quiet tonight over at
Yeah.
the hospital, right? Never do that.
Never.
No.
Oh.
All right, Patrick, please take it away.
Jacob hung his head. But I love you, and we sealed it with a kiss. We were children. She walked away from him. He stared at her with the rope still in his hand. I'll go with you to Boston, Jacob. Abigail Drucker slipped up behind him. I ain't got nothing holding me back here in Lantern. He turned to glare at her, but his eyes ran down her womanly, shapely figure. His throat suddenly went drier than the Odessa desert. Thank you, Abigail. I appreciate it, but she twirled a lock of hair around her finger. I know. You're in love with that Charlene Chance. You always been sweet on her. Too bad she's not sweet on you. Abigail stepped up closer to Jacob and leaned into his ear. I could be sweet on you. Her perfume lingered with Jacob, and when Abigail leaned back from him, words failed him. He just stared at her. She giggled, a tinkling sweet sound, and scurried off. Can I swing now? A young girl demanded. Jacob glanced down at her. Oh, sure, sorry. He took a step to go catch up with Charlie. A gunshot echoed from town. Some women screamed in alarm. Jacob stiffened. Something's happening in town. He scanned the people for his mother. He knew she'd be going in case someone was hurt. Of course someone was hurt. A gunshot just went off. He rushed through the people. Sheriff Patience barked orders. Everybody stay here. Do not leave this place. Jacob spotted his mother and her nurse, Evelyn Graham, mounting horses. Adam mounted too. Jacob wanted to go, but should he? Mama always said too many people at an accident did more harm than good. He thought about who he saw leaving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people were already a lot. He'd better stay back. If Mama needed him, she'd send for him, and he'd be ready. A gun fired in town. Charlie stumbled. Where's Mom? Her eyes roved all over the crowd. Everybody ran towards the edge of the 2-acre property as if they could see what was going on in town, while Charlie ran in the opposite direction. She moved toward Uncle Harrison and Aunt Gloria's house. Mom was probably inside. Some bothered her too much to stay out in it for too long. She said it drained her. Charlie had no idea what was wrong with her mother, but whatever it was, she grew weaker. Charlie had to cook and help her mother dress and bathe and other private things a woman did on a daily basis. Daddy, as her husband of the last 14 years, was perfectly willing to help, but Mom preferred a woman's presence, and Charlie was the only woman on the ranch. There was no way she could go off with Jacob Featherstone for 4 or 5 years. In fact, if she and Jacob did get married, Charlie would insist they live at Second Chance Ranch so she could continue to help her mom. She had never mentioned all of this to Jacob because she knew how much he wanted to be a doctor. He asked cousins Faith and Purity at the library to get textbooks about medical practices, and he had read every single one of them. If one could read themselves into being a doctor, Jacob had certainly done enough to make that happen. But his mama had assured him that he needed to go to university and get a degree and title. The family wasn't hurting for money, but going to a university was expensive. And if she and Jacob were married, he'd have that responsibility added to trying to attend classes. She shook her head. There was no way she could see any of that working out. How could she stand in his path of fulfilling this one dream he'd had since, well, she couldn't remember a time he didn't talk about becoming a doctor. Of course, he talked about them getting married for just as long, but one excluded the other in her mind. Her mom needed her here, and she needed to go away in order to become a doctor. Mom. She found her in the kitchen, sitting at the breakfast table. Those who were in the house had gathered with a pot of tea and were visiting over ladyfinger sandwiches. The loud sound of the gun going off was muffled inside and had not alarmed these ladies. Are you all right? Yes, Charlene, dear. Why do you ask? Well, Charlie swallowed. Should she worry her mother? Something has happened in town, and Sheriff Patience and Dr. Honor have gone to see what it is. I just want to be sure if you heard about it, you were not upset. Upset? Charity looked at her companions. Hope Monroe and Faith Burke frowned. What happened in town, Charlene? Charlie cringed, but didn't correct them. I don't know yet. It sounded like a gunshot. A gun? Charlie's mom exclaimed. We heard a loud pop, but thought it was someone had gotten into the fireworks. Oh, dear me. Do you suppose... Her eyes darted to Hope, then Faith. You don't suppose it's some of them bushwhackers again? They shrugged. Hope stood. Let's go see if anyone has come back to tell us what's happening. Yes, let's go to the veranda. Charity said with a heavy sigh. She stood and slowly reached out for Charlie to help her walk. Charlie rushed to her mother and took her arm to escort her on a chair on the wide wraparound porch. Chapter 2. Jacob stood with his twin and 2 younger brothers, watching for someone to come back from town to let everyone at the Founders' Day celebration know what was going on. The huge dinner had been forgotten. Normally people would be serving plates from the 3 open spits of meat cooked on long tables with assorted side dishes brought by all the people. The food was being ignored for news from town. His patience was wearing thin. Their older brother Seth had volunteered to stay with Sheriff Caleb in town while the celebration moved to Uncle Harrison's. Could it be that he was one who had fired the gun? Jacob clenched his jaw. Or was Seth the one? I can't stand this. I'm going to find out what happened, Jacob said to no one in particular. Benjamin, Jacob's youngest brother, grabbed Jacob's arm. But no, you can't. Sheriff Patience will want to stay here, Jacob sighed. If Mama needs help, I could help. Miss Graham went with her. Ben, I'm going. Jacob's twin Jonah turned to him. I'll come with you. No, I'll go find out what happened and come back and tell y'all. And everybody I know. Jonah sighed. Probably better to limit the number of people in town. Yeah, Jacob nodded. My thoughts exactly. Benjamin sighed. All right, but please be careful. Don't you get hurt too. Jacob glared at him. I won't get in the way. He considered Benjamin. And tell Charlie where I've gone and that I'll be back with news. Benjamin looked towards the house. I'll let her know. Jacob eased his heels onto Doc Holliday's sides. The horse leapt to a gallop. You be careful, Jacob Featherstone, Abigail Drucker yelled at him from somewhere behind him. The Lantern National Bank's door stood open as Jacob rode down Main Street. He looked away from the door and obvious blood on the floor to see Papa Monty and Mama carrying a stretcher toward the clinic. Jacob rode up alongside them. Evelyn Graham trailed behind, holding a bloody cloth in her hands, and it looked like she'd been crying. Where was Sheriff Caleb? Or Seth? Who was on the cot? Jacob hurried his horse ahead and leapt off at the clinic's entrance, looped his horse's rein to the post, and waited for them to get close enough to ask, Who? It's Seth, Papa Monty blurted. Gunshot to the back. What? Who? Bushwhackers, Mama answered. Caleb rode out after them. Jacob nodded. You need anything? We've got this handled, son. Mama looked at him sternly and turned her focus on getting the stretcher inside the clinic. Jacob stayed on the boardwalk, watching them enter the facility. He spun. Is he all right? Miss Graham turned back to Jacob before she closed the door with him on the outside. We honestly don't know. Jacob stared at the closed door. What was he supposed to tell everyone back at the dinner? He turned to his horse. What should I do, Doc Holliday? The horse lifted his head and whinnied. Did he have any idea how serious the situation was right now? Or the weight of responsibility of being the only person who was available to ride back and let everyone know his brother had been shot? Come on, we gotta let them know something. Jacob mounted Doc Holliday and kicked him into a run. He didn't want to scare the people, but there was no way to make the news sound like good tidings. All he could do was tell them what he knew, not speculate about anything he didn't, and not mention the bloody cloth Miss Graham was carrying. Jacob's stomach clenched tight. He swallowed and lifted his chin. He could do this. He'd seen Mama deliver bad news hundreds of times. He'd do it like she did. The people rushed to him as he dismounted at Uncle Harrison's. Adam was just here. He took Purity back to town. Is Seth dead? What's going on? I heard it was bushwhackers. Is it true the bank got robbed? Jacob swallowed hard as he walked through the pressing crowd. Let me get somewhere where everyone can hear, he begged them as he walked towards the veranda. Folks, he raised his hands to quiet everyone, all I know is that there was an attempt to rob the bank. My brother, he swallowed, my brother Seth got shot. But he's alive. Mama's with him at the clinic. He searched all the faces for Charlie, wishing she was standing there beside him. He needed her strength. That's all I know. A hand gently touched his shoulder, and he turned to see Charlie. He almost threw his arms around her, but remembered one more thing he needed to say. Oh, yes, it was bushwhackers. But Sheriff Caleb has gone after them. A chatter rose up among the people. They moved away from the veranda, headed to whatever means they used to get up the hill. Horses, wagons, buggies, or walking. People moved away from Uncle Harrison's house and toward the clinic downtown. Jacob put his arm around Charlie. She turned to his embrace. I'm so sorry, she muttered against his shoulder. With all the people moving away from the veranda, he felt less public and let go of his pent-up emotions, letting tears slip out against her hair. Oh, Charlie, there was so much blood. I just don't see how Seth's gonna be all right. She shook him slightly. Now, don't think that way. Your mom is amazing, and if anyone can fix this, it's her. Jacob lifted his head, wiping his eyes. You're right. I honestly don't know how bad his injuries are. All I saw was a body on a stretcher and Miss Graham carrying a blood-soaked cloth. Mama always says it looks worse than it is.
All right, this is an excellent time to take one more break for commercials, and then we'll come back and finish the excerpt that I've allowed to be exposed today. I have so much power.
Yes.
What have I told you about exposing things?
Oh, I'm so sorry,
well,
Tay.
it's radio
I'm so
again.
sorry. It's just too hot in here.
Well, that's a good thing because the heat's not working.
I know, and I'm burning up. I'm sitting here fanning myself with the book.
That's okay.
She's fanning.
Leave that heat in here because tomorrow it's going to be really cool.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're getting a generator put in. There's a lot of other little pieces and parts, and part of it's the natural gas. So it's currently cut off. So
that's the
until we
problem.
get that done.
Yeah. Well, and it'll
well.
be 80 degrees before you know it.
Yeah.
So we'll all be warm back up.
Open the windows back up. So.
That's right.
Melt the snow.
All right. This is Right Time Radio. We're going to take a break for commercial, and we'll be back with a little bit more from Jacob, Sons of Honor.
Now is the time to get your kids active with the Canyon City Area Recreation and Park District. With restrictions in place, we are offering a smaller version of Youth Soccer and Football League sponsored by the Credit Union of Colorado. There will be flag football for kids in kindergarten through 6th grade, and soccer will be available for kids between the ages of 5 and 14. Rosters are limited to 12 players per team, and children will be placed based on the school they attend. Registration is open now through September 11th. Get more information at ccrec.org.
Rural Gorge Radio, along with these local businesses, want to give you free money.
Visit one of these Money Day store locations. In the Alta store in Fremont County, High Country Bank, 150 Reynolds Avenue, Kaleidoscope Inspiration, 602 Main Street, Coyote Coffee Den, Highway 115 Penrose, and Waterhole number 1, 1532 Elm Avenue.
Be present at your favorite Money Day location for Money Day. Same time, 2:30, and same channels, AM 1400 Carolyn and 104.5 Star Country.
And if you're a business in the Fremont or Pueblo County area and would like to be a part of our Money Day celebration, just give us a call, 275-7488.
Hey y'all, it's Chelsea Lynn. Join Annalie and myself every Tuesday afternoon at 2:30 at your favorite Money Day location for your chance to win some free cash.
So visit a Money Day store location, register, be present at a Money Day store location every Tuesday afternoon, listen for your name, hear your name, call back, and win. It's that easy.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook for the latest Money Day details.
Overland Weather. Snow and rain showers coming to an end late this morning and then mostly cloudy this afternoon with a high around 40. Mostly cloudy tonight, 40% chance of some snow showers, low near 30. Cloudy tomorrow, a few showers in the morning. Little warmer tomorrow, the high around 50. We had 4.5 inches of snow that gave us 0.6 of an inch of precipitation. Now from the Weather Center, we have 38 degrees.
Talk Radio 1400 KRLN.
Welcome back to Right Time Radio, and we're here this morning with Patrick Mulready and Lynn Donovan, the author of the day.
Yes, I am.
With her 50th.
With her 50th.
My 50th book.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Which one in the series? How old is Jacob and Jonah?
He's 20. Jacob and Jonah are 25.
So they are the third book of the sons?
Yes, but Jacob is the fourth book.
Her headphones fell off. She's fumbling with her headphones.
I hate when that happens.
Jonah's the third book, and Jacob's the fourth book. Well, let me just tell you, Adam's number 1 because he's the oldest son. Then we have Seth. He's book number 2.
And he's the one who just got shot.
Seth just got shot in the back. Darn bushwalkers. And then we have Jonah is book 3, and Jacob is book 4. Those are the twins.
They are twins.
And then Reuben is book 5, and Benjamin is book 6.
That's fabulous.
And this, as a little bonus, as I was writing this, I was publishing them. So, I mean, I wrote them, got them proofread, published. Wrote it, proofread, published. Just bam, bam, bam. And they were all published by August, all 6 of them. I was having readers come back to me and say, please do this. Please let that happen. Please let Seth stand again. Please let this. Please let that. So I didn't say it happened. I said my readers were begging for it. And so at the very end of Benjamin, there's an epilogue that wraps some things up that the readers were asking for.
I love the interactive of nowadays that we can, get online and talk to an author.
And ask for something. And they deliver it,
All right, well, we better go back so make sure we have time to finish. And Patrick?
Jacob lifted his head, wiping his eyes. You're right. I honestly don't know how bad his injuries are. All I saw was a body on a stretcher and Miss Graham carrying a blood-soaked cloth. Mama always says it looks worse than it is. There you go, Charlie assured him. Looks like everyone's headed to town. You suppose we ought to go too? Jacob looked deeply into her eyes. I want to be there at the clinic to know the minute Mama says he's doing okay, but that clinic ain't all that big. Charlie nodded. I understand. Look, I'll get Mom and go home. You can let us know when you can. Jacob squeezed her hands. Thank you, I will, as soon as I can. Jacob joined his brothers as they rode into town. Pushed through the crowd and into the clinic. Purity, Adam, and Papa Monty sat in the waiting area. Anxiety and worry written all over their faces. Jacob, his twin, Reuben, and Benjamin sat down to wait. Gunshot wound. Jacob ran through his memory of medical books he had read. Shot in the back. Could be internal organ damage, liver, bowel, kidneys. It all depended on where Seth got shot. Must not have been that high. Would have been harder lungs. Seth would have been less likely to have lived. It had to be low. Jacob wasn't there, but with the manner in which Mama was acting, Jacob sensed she was concerned about Seth's lower back. Jacob stood and paced the clinic's parlor. No one chastised him for doing it. Everyone worried in their own way. He looked at his family. Did any of them want to go back where Mama was working on Seth as badly as he did and looking on the surgery? He glanced down the hall. An urgency swelled in his heart. He wanted to learn how to do what Mama did. He wanted to be back there, assisting her, or performing the surgery himself. He had to find a way to go to university. And if he was going to university, he might as well go to the one that had the best medical training. As far as he knew, that was Harvard Medical College in Boston, Massachusetts. But Charlie, how could he convince Charlie to go with him? Her Mama looked pale. She was tired, weak. Could it be something to do with her blood? What had Mama diagnosed Charity with? Anemia caused those symptoms. This seemed different. Jacob sat down. If he could help Charity, maybe Charlie would be willing to go to Boston with him. Then he could get a medical degree and come back to Lantern and take over Mama's practice, or at least help her with her practice. He smiled. Mama said she wanted him to take her place, but did she really? She loved what she did, and she was good at it. Evelyn Graham walked toward them in the parlor. Her apron was covered in blood. Jacob swallowed. She looked tired and worried. What would she say? Was Seth dead? Jacob's gut tightened as he waited for her to speak. Well, he's alive. Jacob blew out relief. Thank God. Miss Graham continued telling about the bullet being close to Seth's spine, but Jacob's attention went to his mama as she walked down the hall toward them. She, too, looked exhausted but pleased. Purity cried, and Mama sat beside her, answering questions and generally comforting her. Jacob wanted to squat at his mama's knees to listen to every word, but he held himself back. Bullet close to the spine. Paralysis. Seth might be paralyzed. But Mama wasn't sure. It was a matter of time. It was a matter of how close and how much damage was caused by the bullet and her retrieving it from his body. Taking a bullet out of the body could be just as harmful as when it was shot into the body. Jacob watched Mama's eyes, trying to determine how she felt about the surgery results. Confident. Jacob sensed she was confident she had done what she could. Perhaps Seth has a good chance of recovering and walking again. I want you all to go home. Jacob snapped his attention with Mama's words. She felt Seth was fine now, otherwise she'd be suggesting they'd stay. That gave Jacob more relief in his heart than anything else. Mama continued, and Jacob almost chanted her final words because she said them so often. God only knows at this point. Yeah, she was feeling good about his recovery, but she knew the final word was up to the man upstairs. Jacob and she had many conversations about this very subject. Purity, of course, insisted on staying with Seth. Everybody expected that. Jacob smirked. Mama agreed, no surprise there either. The rest of you go home. Yes, ma'am, Jacob chuckled. I'll get word to you as soon as we know something. Jacob glanced at his brothers. They looked uncertain about leaving, but Jacob knew exactly what he was going to do. He needed to assure them it was all right to leave, and he walked out, leapt on Doc Holliday, and headed straight to where he could get some answers.
Will Seth walk again? Will Charlie go with Jacob to Harvard Medical College? You need to read the books. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And you can do that by going to Amazon.com/author/L Donovan. You can also search for my name, but I have to warn you, there's 2 Lynn Donovans.
Oh, well, we want the good one.
No.
She's a good one, too, but she writes nonfiction. She's the blonde. You'll see our author pictures, our headshots. She's the blonde, and I'm the brunette. I've actually talked to her.
Cool.
Yeah. Because, when you got to
share a name,
another author that's got your name, like, hey, my name's Lynn Donovan, too, and I write also. And so we visited, but, we're not, we don't go to tea together.
I love the
or anything.
Networking now. I was saying during the break about the interaction between authors and also between authors and their fans.
Right. And if you'd like to do that also, I'm available on Facebook, and the name of my readers group is what? I had Sue write it down for me.
Okay. Oh, books by author Lynn Donovan.
Right. So if you go on
read my writing.
Facebook, it's because she's writing it on her knee. If you go to Facebook and you do the search for readers group, I can't read your writing.
Obviously, she can't either.
I know it.
Look for Lynn on Facebook.
Oh, she's saying readers group. Books by author Lynn Donovan.
Author Lynn Donovan.
I just go there. I don't read it, so I forget what it's called. But then I'm also available in another group that's kind of a multi-author group. There's several of us that are admins on that group, and it's easier to remember. It's chat, sip, and read. And I also do a live chat on Sundays at 2:00 our time. So Parker and I do that.
That's
and
Mountain, just right now, daylight time.
Yeah, Mountain Daylight Time. Just like this show, we feature authors on that. It's called Book Club Chat. We do it live, and that's a lot of fun, too.
I'm nodding.
I know, she is. Can you hear her nod?
Bring that up again.
Sue, you've got some stuff going on.
I have had a really busy month. Because of COVID, we can't have live shows at the Rialto. So, the Carol Burnett Show online on Facebook, September 11, 12, and 13.
Neat.
The Rialto Theater is proud to present 5 sketches straight from the Carol Burnett Show. Parody commercials will be released during the show for a real sitcom feel, and I wrote a lot of those commercials. The show will be streamed through Facebook on September 11 and 12 at 7 p.m., and on September 13th at 2 p.m. So that's just like we do our normal shows, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Access to see the show is $9.99 and will be paid online through the Facebook event. Please like and follow our Facebook page to receive up-to-date information and to access the online show for the specified performance dates. To purchase access to the Facebook online events, okay,
There's
I'm not
a
sure how to
link.
do that. There are links. Thank you. There are links. So it's the Carol Burnett Show online, September 11th, 12th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, September 13th at 2 p.m. Ticket prices are $9.99, so that's for everyone in the household. You can gather the whole family and get your popcorn
Yeah.
and do this.
So you
and,
just basically go to Facebook and search for Rialto Theater.
Yes.
And then that'll give you the link, and you pay online right there at that link and all that
Yes,
jazz.
I don't do the technical stuff. That's
She
Jennifer
just writes-
Bowers.
She writes the pretty stuff.
Build sets and,
Patrick, are you involved in that as well?
I was not involved in this first one, but I understand they may be doing more.
Patrick
very
was kind
fun.
enough to come and watch and provide laughs for us. It's
He's
really
the laugh
hard.
track.
Well, it's hard for the actors when they know it's supposed to be funny, and it's hard for
Yes.
them when no one is laughing.
Yes.
So Patrick came
We
out
were
for
at the
that.
Village Inn the other day for lunch or something, and we were watching a baseball game, and they have cardboard cutout people in the stands.
Yeah, and they actually pipe in the
Sounds
sounds
of an
like the
odd-
crowds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for the baseball
that's
game.
That's
And they said this
goofy.
morning the Broncos are going to have only 5,000 people.
Yeah, 5,700, I think.
Yeah, in a 76,000
But-
person stadium.
That's our 2020, and that's why we're having snow on
That's
September
why there's
9th.
Yeah.
4 inches of
Look
snow
out the
on the
window.
ground in September. Yeah, and 80
This
degrees.
is definitely going to be one of those years that your grandchildren will say, "Where
Yeah.
were you in
Where were you
2020?"
back in 2020?
20 odd 20.
What?
I was hiding.
What's an aught?
we had to buy masks to match our outfits.
We did.
We could wear masks to go into the bank.
Yes, you
Yeah.
could. In fact, it was expected.
Always
Yeah.
wondered about that,
It feels,
especially
it
with all
still
the people
feels,
wearing bandanas.
It still feels so weird to throw on a mask, put your purse over your shoulder, and walk into a store.
Well, or to get
the
halfway to
bank.
where you're going and you, okay, I got my purse, I got my phone. Oh,
My
mask. My mask.
I
got it
keep
back.
mine in my car. I have,
I took them out to wash them and
Yeah,
I didn't put them back.
I hear
and
you.
So
Well,
I had to.
Sue,
So it's been a fabulous day with my friend, co-host,
Yes.
and prolific author.
aw, thank you, Sue.
Lynn Donovan and
I love you
Patrick
too, Sue.
Mulready. I love you too. I love you.
Sue and I are such
You
good
love
friends.
me.
We've known each other 2 years,
years?
but we've always been friends.
We had coffee. She met for something with the Rialto that we wanted to talk about, and so we had coffee
For the first time.
For the first time, and at the end of that, 3 hour?
Yeah, it was pretty-
coffee.
quite a while.
She looked at me and said, "We've always been best friends. We just didn't know each other yet." So
And that line has stuck with Sue
That
ever
line,
since.
yeah,
but it's true. That's how I feel about Sue.
I want to use that line.
She's a
someday.
sweetheart. So,
well,
I guess
we
we're
will
done.
talk to
Patrick,
you.
thank you so much for coming to
sure.
read this story for me. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Celebrating the 50th book I wrote. I love it. Right Time Radio. Come see us next Wednesday.